not able to be there in person to say a final goodbye to their loved ones. And even if you haven't lost someone to coronavirus, there is still the social isolation we're all experiencing. We're joined now by the founder of Grief.com, David Kessler. He's also co-author of the book on grief and grieving, finding the meaning of grief through the 5 stages of loss. Well, listen, David, it's difficult enough to deal with one of the big tragedies in life. Now people are dealing with devastation in a bundle. I mean, what's your advice to somehow manage the grief and anxiety?
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is recognize and name this is grief. We are grieving the world we all had a month ago. And at the same time, we're grieving the disappointments of weddings and things that are being canceled. And even people can't have funerals these days. When we name it as grief and at least acknowledge it, then we can find the power in it.
And how important is it to let yourself ride the emotional roller coaster, not to feel the need to be tough?
Yeah, we have that idea that being tough and sort of pretending like this isn't sad is the best thing to do. But suppressing our emotions takes a lot of energy. So many people have said, why am I exhausted? Because we're suppressing the sadness and the anger. And it's okay to feel this. This is a natural reaction. And if we let ourselves feel these feelings, they will be done in a few minutes rather than us just keeping them at bay.
How do you counsel the frontliners, the medical workers who stare down death multiple times a day?
Well, I have been with them and I have seen their work throughout the years. And just to give them the gratitude, give them the supplies, and to honor how important it is. And it's going to be important not to just remember their work in a tragedy, but long after this tragedy.
Absolutely. And while maintaining compassion and empathy for others, how can you find a silver lining in your own circumstances?
Well, I think it's to try to use this time wisely. The reality is, after this is done, after every tragedy, we will either find there'll be people who will be fine, there'll be people who will be in post-traumatic stress. I want to help people get to post-traumatic growth because we do tend to grow from each of these tragedies. It's something I've studied in my new work, Finding Meaning, that after this, we can find meaning and pay honor to all those who have died.
Absolutely. And you're right, because there's the short-term stress and then there's long-term worry, kind of to what you're talking about. How do you think that we as a society will be on the other side of this?
Well, I think we're going to be changed, and I think things are going to be different. And every generation goes through this, whether it's been the Vietnam War or the AIDS epidemic or 9/11. We as a species come through these things, but it doesn't mean they're not horribly scary. So we have to take care of the worried well. I tell people, don't picture the worst scenario, picture the best scenario too, and reality will be somewhere in between. And there are those who have had a loved one die, and we need to make sure we're there for them also. That's one of the ways I'm serving. I'm doing an online grief group every day for people who have had a loved one die that people can find out at grief.com.
We really do have to provide some sort of solace to everyone who we can touch, not necessarily physically, but definitely through all the technology means that we have these days. David Kessler, thank you so much.